We're actually doing a Ringmon episode today where we are going to be adding in the follow mechanics for in-game. A lot of people have been asking for this, and I did plan on putting it into my own game for when it releases, so I've gone ahead and done so. First things first, thank you to Rinto in the Discord for taking the challenge up and sort of attempting some of the animations for me. He has just sent me back Tailflame. So as you can see, Tailflame spawns in once we accept the Ringmon. So whatever's in Party 1, now I'm going to experience a bit of lag because I'm recording and doing all the other good stuff. But once it kind of kicks itself in, we'll see him running around. He'll follow me, and he will also stop when I stop. And again, when we start, he'll do his little run, and then he'll catch up with me and stop and enter his idle animation. And then when we carry on, he will run. Now there obviously is a little bit of sort of interpolation I need to kind of work on to make sure that he kind of speeds up a little bit when we're getting around and enters the correct animations as and when I want him to. But I think what the problem is that going from 0 to sort of 150 in terms of speed is it takes him a while to actually get going. So there is a quick and easy fix hopefully for that, which is in my idle walk animation. We just drag this down to something like 50 so that we are walking in between here. And actually, to be honest, I could possibly do this as well, so that if we're sort of under 280 maybe, 280, he is walking, and that actually might help with that that kind of janky kind of going from idle to run. Let's give it a go actually while we're here. See, I'm fixing things as I help you guys. Right, there we go. That looks a little bit better. And then when he stops, he kind of goes into that idle animation and doesn't quite feel so janky anymore. If I just do like he kind of does a very small walk movement. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. That's for me to work on for my game. It is what it is. But to get to that point, all you need to do is, I've covered this before in lots of other tutorials, but once you have all of your animations like so, you just want to create an idle walk blend space and add the animations in like you just saw in here. And that's a case of I've got mine creatures maximum speed set to 350, and then I've just added in, well, as you can see, I've added 2 idles in. I've got my run, no, I've got 1 idle, sorry. I've got 2 walks either side, so it makes sure it stays in the walk animation between here. And then we have our run set at 350. You all also need an BP as well. Mine's down here. You'll need to create a state machine. Let's go right to the very top. You need to add in a state machine. I call mine locomotion. And then you need to add in a state, which mine is idle walk. And mine does everything within idle and walk. So mine idles, walks, and runs all within one. There we go. And then in your event graph, you just need to add that variable speed, which is just a float. You need to get pawn owner, get the velocity, and get the length XY vector. Once you've done that, you can add that in. So I added in an extra variable in my creature information. To get this working for multiplayer, and also potentially actually in single player, you should need this for both. You will want your skeletal mesh. As an example, if I show you Tailflame, because that one is the one that's working, we have our skeletal mesh, and we also have that AnimBP we created set up in there as 2 separate variables. I'll find out the variables you'll need as well, because those are 2 particular these are 2 particular variables you will need for that. And it took me a while to get it right because they are quite fiddly ones to find. But the NMBP is just an object reference, and it's a class setting. And the skeletal mesh is just a skeletal mesh. And if you're looking to add animations into a structure as well, you'll need an anim sequence type for your animations to work correctly. So once you've done all that, we can get down to the code. So mine's set up to multiplayer, so it's going to be slightly different to yours. You won't need to do some extra steps basically, but we'll take a look at it anyway. So first things first, open up your third person character, go into blueprints and open up that third person character. Okay, and again, some of this isn't relevant to you guys. It's because that's multiplayer. That's let's come down to here. So we need to create a new event called spawn creature. And what this will do is basically, if you have a creature in slot 1, it will spawn that creature. So we just get our mesh. We get the world location. And they'll probably come combined, but you need the X, Y, and Z value. So if it's combined, split it. We will add plus 50 to our Z axis. We also need to get the rotation, and then we want to make a transform using all those figures, so plug them all in. You don't need to worry about that is locally controlled. That is a server thing to show that this creature belongs to this character. And then this is also a custom event you won't need. So this transform will actually just plug straight into a spawn actor. And the BP we're going to be spawning is a new BP we're about to create. And again, I don't think you'll need to plug in the self, because this is all, we're only doing this for a single player video game. So you won't need to have this event. You can literally just plug this straight into your event and plug it all in together. You don't need to do the is locally controlled, the branch check, or the custom event. You can literally just have this directly plugged into here. And that will spawn this creature. Now we just need to tell it when to spawn it. Well, actually, the first time we actually ever want to call this spawn creature is when we accept our ringmon. So the next place we want to go to is back into our creature folder. Nope, that was the wrong one. I clicked on the wrong folder. I want to go into the creature folder, and we want to select, where is it? It's in the next one, isn't it? We want to click on that accept ringmon. There we go. And go into the graph and event graph. And we basically calling from the third person character, we just get that spawn creature function and we spawn it. Very, very simple. The next thing we will want to do is we need to create the BP that's going to allow it to fall around that thing we're going to be spawning. What I did is I created a child of our creature master BP, same as we've done for all of our other creatures so far, and in this follow BP you can set it to blank. It doesn't have to have any information. It is purely designed for following you around. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the creature we have, or the mesh if you will, of our creature. So we're going to get a third person character, we're going to get the ringmon party, we're going to break that party strut to get slot 1, we're going to get the creature info, and we're going to get the mesh and the BP now. So the first thing we do is we get our mesh, this little component here, just drag it out like so, and pull off from it, and you can just click set skeletal mesh. Same from the mesh, you can also set anim instance class, and through those two things you just plug in your skeletal mesh and your anim BP, and that's what sets the idle walk run, and it also sets the actual skin of the creature. So for example, Tailflame and Tailflame's anim BP, hence why it needs to be in your creature information. And then again, this is more of a multiplayer thing, but we don't need to worry about that. we just need to run a custom event, which will send us up here. Again, I'm running it 2 because I'm trying to run this through the server. So you only need to worry about this and this. So we're going to get our third person character. We're going to get distance 2, and then we're going to get that distance and see if it's equal to or over 250. We also need to do a second condition check to see if it is over 600. And both of these will go into 2 separate branch checks. Here we go, like they're right here. Again, you don't need the custom event because that's for multiplayer. Excuse me. You just need to have this plug in straight directly into the custom event. So you have this custom event running, and then you'll have your 2 branches checks straight after. And then we're going to do stuff with these 2 condition checks. Well, the first one is the over 600. If it is over 600, we want to get our creature to catch up. So if we get too far ahead or it gets stuck on something, it teleports to the player so it doesn't fall too far behind and there's just a creature running randomly in a whole another part of the map, not with its original player. So we get the third person character, we get the actor location, we do a plus on the X by 50, and then we do a YZ check. They just get plugged straight into this set actor location, and the target is self. And we can just say teleport. We don't want it to sweep because then that's when issues happen. We just want it to teleport. And once it's teleported to us, we just want to run custom event 1 again. So it's going to go back to here. It's going to go back through. This should come back false now because it should be under 600 because it's caught up with us. And we do a second branch check to see if it's over 250. If it is over 250, we just want the pawn to have a 0 destination. We don't want it to move, essentially. Sorry, no. We want the target. If it's true, it's over 250 away. The distance is over 250 from the third person character. We want it to move to the third person character. We want its target to be the third person character. If it's not over 250 away from the character, we want it to move to itself. We just want it to stay still, basically. Hence why the self is plugged into both. Once those 2 things have happened, we do a 0.2 second delay, and then we run the custom event 1 again, and it will check. Is he over 600 away? If that's true, we teleport to the player. If it's false, it just either moves to itself, which means it stands still, or it moves to the player. It will move to the player. That's where the target actor is, by the way. That's that third person character. And then we run the whole system again. And it's as simple as that. And if we want to change the third person character, I haven't fully implemented this yet, but it should be as simple as just updating that skeletal mesh and that MVP character class. But I'm going to do that in a custom event that gets called when we swap characters or things like that, basically. Or if we remove a character from the slot 1, it will update to either nothing or it will update to the new creature that goes into that slot 1. So it's all based around slot 1. I haven't done it based on a button press, to update it. We probably could do that down the line, but we'd have to implement that extra bit once all the menus are set up. But for now, this should get you at least slot 1, whatever's in slot 1, following you around with animation, like so. Here we go. Again, another big shout out to Rinto for doing the animations for Tailflame. He is working on another 2 for me, so hopefully over the next few days, or next couple of weeks, even more so than anything, we should have hopefully a few more creatures in with some awesome animations going. But thank you so much everyone for watching. Hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next episode. Oh, there's one last thing that I noticed you could have an issue with in your follow BP. Click on the character, click on controller in the details. Nope, not in the details, maybe in the mesh. Or is it just on the follow BP? go to go to the follow BP self. It's not controller. It is just type in. It's auto possess AI. If you don't change this, what you'll find is you'll have some issues with the creature actually being able to move, use its animations. Basically, it says auto possess AI. You need it to be spawned, because if it's not spawned and it's placed in world, it won't animate and possibly even move. But it was a big issue for me. It took me a while to figure that one out. Anyway, thought I'd just add that in there at the end, just in case anyone was wondering why theirs is still possibly bugging out. It could be to do with that. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hopefully you found this useful. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next episode. Much love. Take care. Bye.